As we continue to be in a period of rapid change, both personally and collectively, we need various tools, therapeutic modalities, and other professional resources to support our well-being. In today's interview, we'll discuss how music therapy can be one such resource. Hi, I'm Stacyann Forrester, astrologer for women releasing old ways of being while also embracing their unique path forward. I'm here with board-certified music therapist and licensed creative arts therapist, Christine Nassal. Welcome, Christine.
Hey, Stacyann. Really happy to be here.
Great. Are you ready to dive into some questions?
Yes, I'd love to.
Okay, let's do it. So, as a licensed creative arts therapist working mainly in music, how do you support your clients?
I want to say I support my clients a lot through my own therapeutic presence, being with them, but also really using the music to almost be a guide in their journey. So we use music as a music therapist. I use music in order to help support any of their therapeutic goals. So, for example, if someone is dealing with anxiety, not feeling safe in their body, we'll use music for visualization. We'll use music for relaxation. Maybe even incorporating it into a guided meditation or creating a sung mantra for them to develop safety in their bodies and for themselves so that they can kind of bring that into their own personal healing and into their lives. So, music really plays that role to support anything that they're going through and anything that they want to work through.
Mm-hmm. And is it a certain type of music, or can pop music work, can rock work, or is there a certain high frequency music that you typically use therapeutically?
That's a really great question. So the wonderful thing about music is that it's so personal to each and every single person. If we think about even music in terms of our own personal histories, I like to have my patients and my clients create a musical autobiography because music is often so a part of our stories, right? It is with us when we are young, when we are kids. And a lot of that music again comes from our families, our grandparents, our ancestors, right? I know for me, my grandmother would sing Que Sera Sera before we would go to school. And so even though, growing up, that song is an older song, I know that song because of my shared history with my grandmother, with my Lola. Um, and so music, again, is with us throughout our lives, right? Music is with us when we graduate, when we celebrate, um, even the act of singing happy birthday. So when we celebrate milestones, music is there. And so I feel like everyone has what I call like a musical signature, right? Everyone's music is unique to them and helpful for them. And so a lot of my job is really picking apart people's preferences for music in order to find where is the therapeutic value, how can we use this song and make it work for you and for your therapy goals. So I've had folks bring in classical music that's relaxing to them, metal music that has significant meaning for them, a lot of pop music, and even folks, a lot of instrumental music, like lo-fi is really popular right now for
Yeah.
relaxation. Um, and then, gosh, just all sorts of genres. And so there's not really a song that we can like prescribe. Like if you want to be relaxed, there's this one song to listen to. It's really the qualities of that song and specifically how does that song um, emote in you, right? How does it feel in your body? What type of memories does it elicit? So again, everybody's musical preferences are so different. But
And
go ahead.
Yeah, and I love that it is so personalized, and
Mhm.
that you are looking for that musical DNA or musical history that you speak of to be able to work with that client. So that's
Mhm.
really helpful to know that it is so personalized. And my next question to you is, most of my audience is probably familiar with that traditional talk therapy.
Mhm.
And, a question that comes to mind is, how is that different from music therapy?
Sure. So traditional talk therapy, I feel like it's not that it's out. I don't dive into that
Mhm,
sometimes when I do like a session with a client. But with the music therapy, I feel like music can sometimes cut through
mhm,
words, and it can give us a place to express,
mhm,
even say things that we are not ready to say. So maybe
yeah,
I'm not ready to say that, hey, this was a really painful relationship, and
mhm,
I'm in a place of grieving, but maybe I can pick a song that
mhm,
talks about that feeling of grieving, right? And
mhm,
so, in this way, like the songs become a container for the
mhm.
emotions. I find this a lot too when I work with adolescents, that it's difficult for them to say exactly what they're feeling,
Yeah,
but maybe they'll pick a song, like, what is it? Simple Kind of Life by No Doubt, right?
yeah.
But if I ask them, like, well, what do you really want today? Maybe that's a much more difficult question to answer. But
Mhm,
they can name a song that speaks to them and speaks about that experience.
mhm,
So in that way, we have like the music almost creates a safe distance, a safe space for us to
yeah,
distance ourselves from that intense emotion. But
mhm,
again, it can also contain us and keep us safe. So I think
mhm,
that's where music is really special. Again,
yeah.
it provides a way to say things that
Mhm.
we have difficulty saying otherwise. And so,
And it's so amazing how you speak on that, because I find it's the same thing with astrology, because
mhm,
astrology is that language. And I found astrology when I was an adolescent and I was feeling a lot, but maybe didn't have quite the right words. And astrology gave me that framework to understand my feelings and to also express them. So I see that the connection between music therapy and astrology there is it's so profound. So thank you
yeah.
for sharing that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
always.
Um, and do you have to be creative or musical for this type of therapy to be effective?
That is the beautiful thing about music. I want to say we're human, right?
Yeah.
We have human experience.
Hmm.
And I get that a lot with my patients and my clients. I'm not a musician, I'm not an artist, I'm not a dancer, I'm not creative, right? And
Hmm.
so I often want to challenge folks to ask, like, where did that message come from, right?
Hmm.
Somewhere along our history, someone told us that we're not musical enough or creative enough,
Right.
or I'm not, and I don't draw as well as this person, right?
Hmm.
But these things, these creative modalities are part of the human experience. And so if you can feel, and if you can express, if you can be expressive, then
Hmm.
the creative arts modalities for therapy is for everyone, right? And
Right.
so I feel like if you can feel, and um, if music moves you in any
Hmm.
way, right, then music therapy is for you, right? The creative arts therapy is for you. And again, there's so many different modalities to speak to.
Hmm.
Um, Art therapy is
Yeah.
one. Music therapy, of course, what I do.
Hmm.
There's dance therapy, journal
Hmm.
therapy, and
Hmm.
when we start to think about younger kids, play therapy
Hmm.
is key there. But
Right.
again, a lot of the work is really reconnecting
Hmm.
um, to, again, we talk about inner child a lot, but it's
Yes.
that moment when we stop playing and stop
Mhm.
creating and stop expressing, that we
Mhm.
almost we become divorced from that part of
Mhm.
ourselves. And so a lot of what I do is really helping folks play again, helping folks
Yeah.
discover that joy, that
Mhm.
authentic self, and
Mhm.
using music as that tool. So
Mhm.
I get that a lot, where patients or clients will be like, "Wow, I haven't sung in years. I
Mhm.
haven't picked up my guitar in years."
Mhm.
And sometimes it might be tied to something that's really painful. I had someone that they would create music, but then since they lost their partner, that was something they did together, and so they're no longer able to enjoy music in that way.
Mhm.
So again, it goes back to finding what is a way that we can still use this modality for your healing, and oftentimes it is working through um, that those dark parts, those
Yeah.
shadowy parts. But music can do both, right? Music
Mhm.
can be the light work, that
Mhm.
joy, that
In the shadow.
exuberance, that excitement, and it can also really deep dive into that shadow work too, which is why it's so important to do this work with
Mhm.
someone who is like a board certified music therapist or has some type of background in it, because music can also, if you are a creative, I will say music can also easily pull you into those
Right.
emotions, right?
Mhm.
And so
Right.
we want to do more good than harm with music.
Right.
And I've seen that
Mhm.
too, where music can be a triggering force, um,
Right.
especially when we
Mhm.
talk about folks that are in recovery, right? Maybe
Mhm.
that was a song that was playing when they were using
Mhm.
or in the depths of their addiction. Um,
Mhm.
so we want to be careful there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings me to one of my final questions about, because we do want to work with someone who is licensed, board certified, when we're dealing with those deeper issues, those
Mhm.
issues that need that kind of support. Um, but if you're not dealing with that, how can you use music therapy to support your well-being in like an everyday scenario where it's not, maybe it's in addition to working with your therapist in that session,
Yeah.
but how can we do it safely outside of that therapeutic relationship? Because I do think there could be some benefits there too.
Absolutely. I think it starts really with examining first, how are you using music now, right? So
Mhm.
maybe an example is what we like to, I mean, therapists like to call mood management, but really music, again, we know that it's so tied to our mood, and also can help change our mood and shift our mood, right? So even that awareness of like, oh yeah, this song is like pumping me up so I can go work out at the gym, or this song is really putting me in a good mood before I go to work. So I
Mhm.
would say the first thing is even just looking at your musical library, like opening up your Spotify, what are my top songs? And then even like just noting and just, just being aware, like, oh, when am I listening to this? And then just finding other ways of, again, we're matching our music to the intended mood that we want,
Mhm.
right? And not to say that like if I'm sad I can't listen to sad music, like by all means, right? Like if you're
I
going through something, it's okay.
Yeah, and that's like one of my favorite things, like to go into an emotion, not to hide from it. So when I'm
Yes.
sad, I just go for it and really feel sadness. And music is really helpful for me in that way, especially during a full moon.
Absolutely. Like
Yeah,
I would say creating playlists
yeah.
that support that, right?
Mhm.
But and the I would say like where it gets tricky again is knowing that shift, right? Like
Mhm, right.
letting yourself feel it, and then okay, now I'm ready. I'm ready to
Yeah.
shift into joy. I'm ready to shift into
Not
um,
getting stuck there is
yes,
important.
exactly.
Yeah.
Not getting stuck in that mode. Um,
Mhm.
and really using it as a tool for that.
Yeah.
And then just, really being open to, all sorts of genres, and just noting like how does that make me feel really, like how, and where does this music land in my body. We also know that there's even with singing, there's different singing vowels that align with the different chakras in the body for healing. So if you are starting out with that, I would start again just noticing where that sound, where that song, where do you feel it in your body? If it's maybe something like more exciting or more hyped, maybe you like feel like moving. I'm a very kinesthetic, movement oriented person in addition to being musical. And so if it, you know, if you're gonna play Beyonce for me, yes, I'm gonna be moving, right? But maybe you're gonna be playing something a little more relaxed, Coldplay, Lewis Capaldi, like these slower songs, or lo-fi. Maybe I'm gonna use that more for relaxation, right? Or something instrumental, classical, jazz. Maybe I'm gonna be using that for sleep even, right? So again, we want to use music if that is something that you connect with and it resonates with you. We want to craft it so it's supporting these other parts of our day, the moods that we want to kind of cultivate. So
Yeah.
that's a place to start, I would say.
One of the things that I've noticed that I've been doing lately, and I don't know why I started it, but it just felt right. So do you know Zephyr wind chimes?
Yes, I
So
do.
it's a very calming sound.
Mhm.
And so because I became a digital nomad earlier this year, and I change Airbnbs, once a month or so. And so every time I get into a new space, a new environment, I turn that on as to almost kind of get the energy of that space, to feel like home. So
Yes,
that's just one things that I do
I
with
love
with
it.
music in my space. Yeah.
And music can really set the mood for us,
Mhm.
right? Anyone that knows, like, that does yoga or like meditation, again, like if you notice on those, even on those guided meditation tracks, like
Mhm.
they'll have music in the background to support that healing mood for us.
Yeah.
And again, my folks, if folks have not yet experienced a sound bath, if folks are not yet familiar with that, again,
Oh,
that
good.
there are different frequencies, and sound healers use a ton of instruments, crystal bowls
Mhm.
um, that align to different frequencies, which again align to the different chakras in our body for
Mhm.
healing. So that is like an immersive sound experience. So again,
Mhm.
using sound and music for healing. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's all so lovely. And I just think music is such an accessible way for us to support
Mhm.
our healing goals and our therapeutic work. And again, it's like it's so available to us, and
Yeah.
it should be shared, and it should be, you know, with community. So if folks are also into like drumming circles, like highly suggest that, like really finding that connection in music. And like that's the lovely thing when a song just hits you, but then you find that it also hits
Yeah.
someone else. That could, you know, that's like a shared meaning through music, and that
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
Yeah. So this conversation felt, very much, we've covered the spectrum, and we covered, that healing, therapeutic healing, where you're working on those deep issues, and you need to, be with a therapist like yourself. But also that spectrum that is more, supportive, that is gentle, and you could do this on your own. It
Yes,
could. So I'm glad that we covered all those spectrums within,
absolutely.
talking about music therapy. And with that, I hope that you can lead us through something experiential.
Absolutely. Music is important just in our everyday processes, and folks that are I want to say, you know, using mindfulness and meditation, especially to ground yourself. You can also use the voice. When we talk about singing and the voice, and again, you don't have to be a singer, a musician. to incorporate your voice, right? So today, I'm just going to lead us in a very simple exercise with just using humming to kind of that vibration to help ground us, right? So if you are doing this at home, again, create your space. Maybe it's on your yoga cushion, maybe it's in your, even in your chair or at work. But you want your feet on the floor. So I'm going to do that now too, as well. Connected to the earth and just getting into your breath. And again, my folks, if you feel comfortable closing your eyes through this, you can. So getting into your breath, you're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And this time, as we exhale, just bringing the lips close together and creating a gentle hum here. So breathing in and just letting a hum on that exhale. And it doesn't have to be long, and it doesn't have to be loud, and it can just be as soft as you'd like it. And if you want to feel the vibrations in your body, you can have those two hands at your heart center here, just feeling that vibration through that chest. Yes. So trying it again on your own, breathing in here through the nose. The exhale on that hum. And one more on your own, breathing in here. Exhale on that hum. And now we're going to take this one more step further. We're going to be humming two different notes, okay, with just two different tones. So you can hum two notes that are next to each other, or you can hum notes that are a little bit further away from each other, but it can be any note that you choose, right? So I'll give you a little demonstration. We breathe in. So you're going to go to your home. You're going to take a step outside of your home and then come back, right, with your tones. Here we go. One more time. Breathing in. Let's do that one more time. And again, there's space. You're going to sound however you sound and just making that your chest and your heart vibrate. Breathing in. Yes. Beautiful. So just take one breath here and just thanking yourself for making a sound and for being brave and being in this moment and sharing this with us. Breathing in. Letting that go. Yes. And my folks, if that felt good to you and you want to explore that more, again, there's different vowel sounds that correspond to your chakras. And so maybe you start with the hum, but then maybe you go to like an oh, yeah, or an ooh, or the most open is the ah, because you'll notice like your mouth is open. And again, it touches different points in your body. And when we think about when we were babies, right? The magic of the lullaby, which can be just two notes, right? But that you're going back and forth from one note to the other. And I feel like that is the ultimate in self-soothing, which, we are just bombarded by everything grabbing our attention and just so many things that are high frequency. And this just brings us back to ourselves, brings us back to our grounding, and that we can create that pace, the rhythm that we feel comfortable. So it's, I mean, if you can imagine, you are creating your own lullaby using just your voice. So if you're feeling lost or just hectic, and again, we didn't do it for that long. You can do it for as long as you need, but not to be afraid of
Mhm.
voice. And again, it doesn't have to be loud. And I'm sorry, my lights are we're back. Um, it can
Yeah.
be you. It can be what you need.
Mhm.
And again, the music, we don't need, it's lovely to have the guitar and piano and all these electronic sounds and
Mhm.
Spotify on our phones and music and Apple Music and all of that. But again, when we think about our ancestors and the music they created,
Yeah.
it started with their voices, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I find that music therapy is just, it's so wonderful in that it can be this big technologically produced thing where we're creating music and creating songs, and singing music and writing music. Um, but it can also be something deeply personal, deeply authentic, something that
Mhm.
is just stripped down.
Yeah.
The music is already in you.
Right.
So when people tell me they're not musicians, I'm like, I don't know about that, because music was is already in you, and that music was in you before
Mhm.
you were here, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I started out by introducing this topic about saying how complicated the world is getting with this rapid change. And so I think it's even more important to, as you say, to, strip things down and disconnect from some of our technologies,
Mhm.
so that we could connect to our own ways of producing music from our
Yes.
voice. So
Yeah.
that is definitely important. And with that, Christine, thank
Yeah.
you so much. I learned so much today. And where can folks connect with you if they're ready to learn more about your work and engaging you in a therapeutic way?
Oh, absolutely. So I do have a private practice in Oakland. If folks are interested or are in the area, and if you're not, I also do take clients online. My website is resounding dash, there's a little dash in there, and then resilience.com. And you can also find me on Instagram. My handle is resounding dot resilience. So,
And I
yeah.
will leave all that information for folks in the description box below. So thank you again.
Thank you,
Take care.
Stacyann. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.